Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into a really interesting piece of music tech history,
Hmm.
the Boss AW3 Dynamic Wah pedal.
Yeah, this one's fascinating.
And it's more than just another guitar pedal, right? It's about how this one little box could seriously change up a musician's sound.
Oh, absolutely. A real toolkit in a stomp box.
Exactly, like switching from, I don't know, super funky bass wah
Hmm.
to this weird talking guitar effect, all from one pedal. That's the kind of Swiss Army knife thing we're digging into.
Hmm.
So our mission today is to unpack where it came from, what makes it sounds unique, and sort of its lasting impact. Give you the key stuff you need to know.
And I think what's really cool here is how it managed to connect those, older vintage filter sounds with some pretty modern, almost experimental effects.
Right. And the fact it's still being made, what, nearly 25 years later? That says something.
It really does. Shows its staying power.
Okay, so let's get into the origins. To really get the AAW3, we need to go back a bit. When did this thing actually hit the scene?
So it first came out in 1999.
Okay, 99.
Yeah, and it wasn't out of nowhere. It was definitely building on Boss's history with auto-wahs and envelope filters.
Like the earlier Boss Wah.
Exactly. You had pedals like the T-Wah back in 76, the TW1 Touch Wah in 78, and then the AEW2 Auto Wah in 87.
Right, I remember the AEW2.
So the AEW3 took that foundation but really expanded it. It combined the envelope filter thing reacting to how hard you play, the regular auto wah sound, and these new pitch detecting vocal wah effects all in one standard Boss box.
Whoa, okay. Vocal effects?
Yeah, that was the big leap. Human voice emulation.
So that human voice thing,
Yeah.
that sounds pretty out there for a guitar pedal in 1999. Was that a big deal for Boss?
It was definitely a bold move for them. I mean, Boss always innovated, but this was their first wah pedal to really try and mimic the human voice.
Ah.
It definitely marked it as one of their more, let's say, experimental pedals at the time.
Yeah.
Showed they were willing to push beyond typical guitar sound.
That's super interesting. And I guess that brings us to the engine inside it, right? The features that actually make it work.
Yeah, the modes are key to understanding its versatility.
So what are the main modes?
Okay, so first up, you've got the dynamic wah mode. This is the one that responds to your picking dynamics, your attack.
Like the classic envelope filters, Mutron, Qtron, that kind of thing.
Exactly like that. Pick harder, the filter opens more, great for funk. Then there's the auto wah.
Right.
This one's different. It creates these rhythmic, repeating wah sweeps. It's driven by an internal LFO, a low-frequency oscillator.
So more like a synth effect. Consistent pulsing.
Precisely. Good for textures. And then the humanizer.
Ah, yes. The talking pedal part.
That's the one. This mode simulates vowel sounds like A-E-I-O-U formants. It creates those really unique talking wah effects.
Right.
It was, and still is, pretty wild.
Definitely sounds it. Any other modes?
Well, not a mode per se, but crucially, it has an expression pedal input.
Ah, so you can control it manually.
Exactly. You plug in something like a Boss EV5 expression pedal, and suddenly the AAW3 acts like a traditional treadle wah. You control the sweep with your foot.
Okay, so it covers both automatic and manual wah sounds. That's pretty comprehensive.
It really is. You get a lot of options.
And all that's controlled by just a few knobs, right? Let's quickly run through those.
Sure. It's pretty straightforward, actually. You've got sens, which is sensitivity. That adjusts how much the filter reacts to your playing strength.
Makes sense.
Then manual. This basically sets the filter's starting frequency, or kind of the vowel sound in some modes.
Okay.
Decay controls how quickly the filter sweep closes after you hit the note. So short sweeps or longer ones.
Got it.
Then the main mode selector knob to choose between dynamic, auto, humanizer, or using the expression pedal.
And there's one more switch just for the humanizer.
Yeah, a little voice gender switch. This flips between like male and female vowel ranges, adds another layer to that humanizer effect.
Cool. And connectivity, just standard input output.
Mostly, but it's got a smart touch. It has separate guitar in and bass in jacks.
Oh, interesting one.
They're optimized for the different frequency ranges of guitar and bass. Helps the filter track better for each instrument.
That's quite thoughtful.
Yeah, and then the dedicated expression pedal jack, of course.
Okay, so we've got the modes, the controls.
Yeah.
But what does it actually sound like? How would you use these different modes?
Right, the sound. Well, the dynamic wah is your classic funk rhythm sound. Think Nile Rodgers, maybe. Also great for slap bass, very percussive, and expressive lead guitar, too.
Okay, the funky stuff.
Yeah. The auto wah, with its rhythmic pulse, is maybe more for psychedelic textures or even some dance-influenced stuff. Creates movement.
Like a repeating pattern.
Exactly. Now, the humanizer, That's where you get those unique vowel sweeps. It's definitely more for experimental sounds, electronic textures, makes your instrument almost sound like it's speaking or singing vowels.
The talking effect.
That's it. And finally, with an expression pedal, it really does function like your standard crybaby or vox wah.
But with its own flavor.
Yeah, it tends to have that boss clarity, maybe a bit cleaner or more hi-fi sounding than some vintage wahs, a modern take on the manual wah.
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier it can be a bit polarizing.
Yeah.
What's the story there? Why do some love it and others maybe not so much?
Well, it comes down to that digital versus analog thing often. The AEW3 is incredibly versatile and precise, right?
Mm.
But some players feel it sounds a bit, well, digital or clinical compared to older analog filters. It might lack that sort of organic, slightly unpredictable gooiness or warmth you get from vintage units.
So it's clean, maybe too clean for some.
Potentially, yeah. It doesn't always have that raw, gritty character some people associate with, say, a vintage Mutron. So it's a preference thing. Do you want pristine control or that slightly wilder analog feel?
Gotcha. That makes sense. But even with that debate, it clearly found its audience. Have any well-known players used the AW3?
Oh, definitely. It might not be a cult classic like a Tube Screamer or something, but it's been on some notable pedal boards.
Like,
well, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers is famous for using envelope filters on bass, especially slap bass.
oh yeah, for sure.
And the AW3 has reportedly been part of his rig at various points, especially in more modern setups.
Okay, cool. Anyone else?
Matt Bellamy from Muse. He's known for experimenting with sounds, and those humanizer effects definitely fit into some of the futuristic textures Muse uses.
Ah, I can totally hear that fitting with Muse.
Right. And beyond big names, it's really popular with jam band players, funk players, electronic crossover musicians, basically anyone who needs a bunch of different filter sounds in one reliable pedal.
The workhorse aspect again.
Exactly. If you need dynamic wah, auto wah, and maybe some weird vocal sounds, plus manual wah control, it covers a lot of ground in one small footprint.
So looking back over its, wow, nearly 25 years, what's its lasting legacy? How should we think about the AW3 now?
I think its legacy is really about that versatility. It's genuinely one of the most feature-packed, compact auto wahs ever made. It successfully bridged that gap between the vintage filter sound and more modern digital possibilities.
And the humanizer was key there.
Absolutely. That humanizer mode was pretty unique when it launched, and it still stands out today against a lot of competitors. It was a really innovative feature.
So it's been this reliable multi-tool for filter sounds.
Totally. For players needing that Swiss Army knife filter in a tough, small Boss pedal, it's been a constant presence for, yeah, almost a quarter century. That makes it the longest-running wah or filter pedal Boss currently produces.
Wow, I didn't realize it was the longest running. That's significant.
It really is. And, people often talk about wanting a Wazacraft version.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which just shows it still has a dedicated following and respect, even today.
That really sums it up nicely, doesn't it? The Boss AW3 Dynamic Watt. It wasn't just another watt. It pushed things forward with dynamic response, auto sweeps, that really different humanizer thing, and the expression control.
Yeah, a multi-mode powerhouse. And look, maybe the vintage purists prefer something else. Maybe it sounds a bit digital to some ears.
Right.
But its incredible flexibility and the fact that it's still around after all this time, that really cements its place as, I think, a modern classic in the Boss lineup. Proves good design can endure.
Absolutely. And maybe in this era where there's just endless gear choices popping up constantly, the AW3 is a good reminder, how one well-thought-out tool can actually give you a huge range of creative options if you're willing to dive in and really explore it.
Well said.
So that makes us wonder, and maybe something for you listening to think about. What piece of gear, an instrument, and effect, anything have you found surprising versatility in? Something that does way more than you initially expected?